Not sure how long to wait for people to arrive. Noisy. Not sure if I should let the light in. Seems clear enough though. Hello, one person watching. I might as well start talking then. So, that was episode 1. I enjoyed it. It was very Stephen Moffat Doctor Who, so some people will definitely hate it. They've already set up what I would term quite an interesting world. It's very modern, isn't it? It's very now. It's an academy school. It's a bunch of characters who they've gone out of their way to reach as many people watching as possible. So I'm guessing you guys have already seen it. Yes, it is on today. It's on the iPlayer today. It won't be on BBC One till we don't know when, because they've not said. But apparently BBC One. Expect it to be quite late at night. If it's on BBC Two, it might be in a 10 o'clock slot at a weekend or something. But yes. So yeah. I enjoyed it. In short, I enjoyed it. So what do we say about it? Yeah, built up a very interesting world. There's these two main characters in it. Before they even launched the show onto the iPlayer this morning, I suspected there'd be an alien in it somewhere. Because if you're not going to have the Doctor in a show regularly, then you have an alien, or you have someone similar to the Doctor, and they've got a couple of aliens. Gotta love this. I put spoilers in the title of this, and people are dropping off because they're going, oh, there's going to be spoilers. Yes, I've put it in the title. So yeah, well, as there's nobody watching at all now, we'll end this, and, oh, hello, Christian. Have you seen episode 1, Christian? Oh, hello, Dave. Have you seen episode 1 of Class? Because I came on, I started talking, I started spoiling it, and both people who were watching disappeared. Hello, William. I'm trying to decide whether to end this, because if I start talking about the plot and people stop watching, then it's kind of pointless me even being here talking live. But in short, I enjoyed it. Yes. Not sure whether it's worth hanging around, because Facebook now tells me none of you are watching. So type a comment or press something right now, otherwise I'll end this. 5, 4, 3, 2, I'll end it. And I'll come back after I've watched episode 2 and I'll do another one of these. So we are live with more Class discussion while my laptop boots and faff around with the audio recorder and get the podcast together. So this time there'll be time for a few more of you who've actually seen it to come online. Good morning, whoever you are. Please type a comment or something. Hello, 2 of you. Facebook's not telling me who you are. So yeah, I'm waiting for my laptop to boot, and feel free to type comments about Class into comments, because I'm going to be faffing around. Hello, Sanya. Have you seen episode of one of Class yet? It's I'm starting to knock the podcast together now. Facebook Live will be longer than the previous one because I'm going to be faffing around in the background. I'm assuming you enjoyed it. Because I was watching it and I was going, well, people who like the current era of Doctor Who, particularly people who love the current era of Doctor Who, will get on with this very well. Episode 2 had elements of Sherlock in its direction, for example. And I'm going, grr, forgot to mention that in the podcast review, but such is the nature of the podcast review, it's just me coming on the audio recorder. Yeah, they didn't. I mean, I thought, I'm not even going to do a Facebook Live unless I put the word spoilers in capitals. I mean, it's a nice short title, so you can see the word spoilers nice and clearly. And that's going to be the problem with a program that goes straight to the iPlayer. People are not going to watch it on the morning it hits the iPlayer. I mean, I am, because I have needs. I wanted to see something that I knew I'd enjoy. But no, having been in a pub full of Doctor Who fans last week, the general view I was getting from people was, I essentially had one question for everybody on the subject of class, and I said, are you excited about it? Didn't get the word yes out of anybody. It was a simple case of, oh, just me then. This laptop's on slow-mo. Great. Well, I had a look through Twitter for the podcast, and the consensus on the Twitter is people are enjoying it. I wonder how long my laptop's going to take to boot. It will get there. It is with good reason I call this one Old Blackie. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. There's only so much you can do with CGI, and you could tell from the way they'd shot it, with all those tight close-ups on the baddie's face, that A, they wanted to get the performance across, but equally they wanted to make it clear it's not that same Doctor Who monster that's been in a previous thing. Let's see. Australian. Oh yeah, sorry about that. Well, I am on the phone. I could plug the headset in. I will try to project. One of the actors has gone on Twitter this morning, Greg Austin, and said, "What did you all think?" And then in capitals, "I still haven't seen it," and he's in it. Martin of the Bad Wolf podcast is now saying, managed to watch episode 1 of Class, enjoyed it, we'll watch episode 2 tonight. Let's see, Kevin Chiat is saying, found the gore a bit excessive, like the characters though. Well, this is the thing, I've noticed the trailers they're running for it on television don't have the Doctor in, because they've just gone, oh yeah, we don't actually want 8-year-olds watching this. Some people have been checking out the tweets, and one person has said that the positive tweeting means that they're actually going to watch it now. Indeed. Let's see. So, episode 1 of Class. Watched. Liked it. Much gorier than I expected for a Doctor Who spin-off, though. Good morning, Stephen. I'm assuming you've at least seen episode 1 of Class. Come on, laptop. Let's see. We have a tweet here from Gemma221B. Just watched episode 1 of Class. And of course, it's amazing. Tom Milanese says, I think Patrick Ness has done a fantastic job with Class. Tom Boyer, who has the rather nice Twitter name of @ComeOnAce. Genuinely loved Class DW. This person's watching in Australia. Felt thrilling, funny, and slightly adult without losing what makes Doctor Who so great. Yeah, I mean, it's meant to be scary. It's connected with Doctor Who. If you ain't hiding behind the sofa, it ain't really proper Doctor Who. Slowly getting somewhere with this creaky old laptop. Now, fire up Audacity. Let's see. What else have we got? Class DW is amazing. Very excited to see the next episodes. Excellent work, Patrick Ness. One person thinks episode 1, which I thought felt long at an hour, should have been longer. I think episode 1 was probably exactly the same length as it should have been, because it had to introduce all those characters and give you a chance to get to know them, whereas episode 2 was perfect because you got to know them a bit, so you don't need all that hanging around for an hour with them. 45 minutes is perfect. Let's see, 354, open. Oh, I missed that. There was a You Ludicrous Care Bear. I like the line from the Doctor about media studies being an easy exam. Now, let's see. Where did I put this? Oh, yes, in here. Audacity files, please. There we go. Possibly a Tim's take on first this episode, because the first few minutes of it were recorded in the hut like an emergency broadcast, and then the end of it will be plonked on in a much quieter environment to this. What's that theme? I keep forgetting where the card reader is. The card reader's around the front on this one. I've been using one with the card reader around the side for ages. It's got the card. No. What's the episode 1? Plonk. should almost hold the phone like this so you can see Audacity. Ooh, let's get the podcast sorted. There you go. Where are we? Getting a peek behind the curtain here, people. Behind the curtain. We've got, work in progress edit. We're all discovering this new show together. So, up next, a few thoughts on episode 1. Well, I've just been watching episode 1 of Class, and you can hear the theme tune. Oosh. You'll hear the rest of that when the episode hits, but work in progress edit, folks, work in progress edit. Hello, Alex. I'm assuming you've seen at least episode 1 of Class, or there being 2. Feel free to type a few comments in while I rattle around with this podcast edit. Sonia enjoyed it, I enjoyed it. It's certainly when the Doctor did show up in episode 1, it was a case of, well, he's not unexpected, because it's got to a point where so much is hitting the fan that the Doctor walking in makes perfect sense. As Stephen Moffat says of the Doctor, he's the cleverest man in the room. The intensity on my face as I... okay. See you later, Sonia. I'm just going to faff around with this. Any thoughts on Class, Alex? Assuming you're still here, because Facebook Live doesn't always seem to be able to keep up to date with who's in and out of the live. And it drops up. Well, we'll wait and see if anyone wants to join in while I finish the podcast edit. So I might as well show you the podcast edit. There you go. We're just getting the last... This is the tail end of the episode 1 review, and this is the beginning of the episode 2 review there. So, I won't go on about it forever. I'm about to watch episode 2, and I'll come on shortly with a few thoughts on episode 2. Well, I've just been watching episode 2 of Class, the coach with the dragon tattoo, which was a good old favourite of Doctor Who. Someone is possessed by something. In this case, it was a sort of dragon-shaped alien who had another half, cute giant CGI dragon. But there was lots of other stuff going on. Pacier than episode 1, because episode 1 was an hour. Episode 2, 43 minutes, and we had a mysterious offer up at the school who the teacher went a little bit nuts at and started swearing at and what have you, and then in the end turned out to be a robot. first I thought this was a piece of fruit. Anyway, so let's finish off this podcast, did it? It'll be time to finish off this Facebook Live. In fact, I am going to finish off the Facebook Live now because I've got to do lots of faffy stuff with the podcast edit. Got to grab the next time trailer for class episode 3 and grab the class end theme tune. So, bye for now, folks. Position you onto the bike. There you go, folks. You've got a bike's eye view, and it might be a bit. No, it's perfectly fine. No problem. You'll get a somewhat shaky bike's eye view. Oh, I just keep putting up report problem. There is no problem. So, episode 3 of class. Oh, stupid fucking error messages. Episode 3 of class. It was the spooky one, wasn't it, folks? Yeah, sorry about the shaky picture. I've had to pin this to the bike. Hello, Jeff. I'll try moving the phone to the front of the bike and see if it's a bit steadier there. I don't know if it'll look... No, it won't really accommodate the cable there. You'll just have to be shaky. So yeah, episode 3 of class. Spookiest one so far. Entirely filmed at night. Which means me, who's visited Cardiff a lot, watched it going, yep, think I know those buildings. I hope this is coming through alright. I keep getting a stupid error message on Facebook. But yeah, yeah, spooky. I certainly enjoyed it. I do wish I didn't keep getting stupid error messages come up on this stream. Report a problem. Look, I don't need to report a problem. Oh, I see, it shakes to report. Let's turn that off. And we're rolling. So yeah, another great episode for Miss Quill. We got to learn her real name. I'm going to try this on a different bit of the bike and see if it shakes less. Or I'll just hold it because I put it in my hand. Yeah, we got to learn Miss Quill's real name. And we got to learn both her and one of her students are far from stupid, because here are aliens pretending to be their dead relatives, and they're kind of, well, I know you're an alien. But all credit to Patrick Ness, he kept the suspense. It doesn't debut in America until the spring, Joe. They're going to show it on BBC America with Doctor Who in the spring. It's showing in Canada, Australia and the UK at the moment, though. So you've missed nothing. Let's just say episodes 1 and 2 at the very least are floating out there on the internet if you want to track them down. So yeah, I certainly enjoyed it this week. Lots of suspense. I did that thing a lot of low budget shows do, of when in doubt, film at night. Because everything looks more expensive as soon as you film at night, because you can get away with a rubber bit of alien going across the road more easily when you're hiding it with good lighting and what have you. So there's only about one of us here now. So I'm probably going to end this now. I might do another one as I walk back from the bike shop. So see you later, folks. And hopefully by the time I walk back from the bike shop, a few more of us will have seen the episode. So, bike's been dropped off at the bike shop. In fact, I can flip the camera around because I had to go to the nearby cash point. And so there's the bike shop. On somewhere called Chesterton Road in Cambridge. Home to a co-op and a hotel and, well, this bike shop amongst other things. And it's not too far to walk home, thankfully. Interrupted, let's see, I've got through Hammered Horror this morning. Coverville podcast listening this morning so far consisted of Coverville, Hammered Horror part one of their horror. Hammered Horror. I listened to part one of their 4-part Halloween special, and then currently listening to the Adam Buxton podcast that interrupted it to do this. Oh, crossing time. Yeah, this Joe is somewhere called Chesterton Road in Cambridge. It's a lovely old houses down here. There we go. Just flip around and show you some of the autumnal colour. Lots of yellow leaves. Trees turning yellow. There's a few red leaves on the trees as well. I'm very lucky in many respects with where I live because I don't live far from my doctors, I don't live far from the nearest bike shop, I don't live far from the nearest post office, I don't even live too far from the nearest post box to post letters. Which sort of went up to an audience of 2 then suddenly went down again. Oh, I'll keep just showing you Chesterton Road while I natter away. Hello Nikki, just taking my bike to the bike shop. On Chesterton Road now, heading home. What's the 3rd episode? First and only time a year ago, tried. Similar problems with the visiting Canadians recently. They went to London, Manchester, Surrey. Couldn't persuade them to come to Cambridge, but apparently they're coming back soon. But, it's that bit of the autumn I rather like, because it's still mild weather, and you've got all the lovely bright colours from the trees at the moment. I'm assuming you're still watching, Nikki, so I will address you. You doing anything today? Apart from getting my bike fixed, I'm probably going to watch Evil Dead 2 this afternoon while I await the phone call from there. Hello, Craig. Then also today I'll probably get out to the Cambridge Technology Museum. Oh, it's a lovely little street called Chesterton Hall Crescent, this. I'll point out one of the few signs of Halloween that I noticed on my walk when I get to it. There's a bit more autumnal colour over there. London, Bath, Stratford, Stonehenge, Scotland. Yep. Well, it's worth getting to Cambridge. It's only... Even the longest train journey from London is 1 hour 20 minutes, and the shortest is about 50 minutes. Train station, however, is on the edge of town rather than the city centre, so you'd probably need a cab or a bus into the centre of town. So yeah, there's a lovely little street. I wonder if I've gone past. Somewhere down here, someone's got a lovely clock on their garage. I might have gone past it, because it's not very far up the street. Perhaps I'll do another one of these later when my bike's ready. But, there's a nice bit of autumnal red there. But yeah, rather enjoyed class episode 2. As we dodge kids cycling down the path here. Bring you close-ups of greenery. Probably stop this when we get to the end of the road. Wouldn't want to entirely give away my address. But I have some privacy. Oh, there's that holly over there. Looks like holly. No, it's not holly actually. I don't know what that is, but lovely bright berries on it. Hello, Dave Trace. Have you been watching Class, the new Doctor Who spin-off? I'm already fully up to date on episode 3, which hit the iPlayer this morning. Oh, this was the bit. I photographed this on the way up. Lovely bit of autumnal red, that. Oh God, good television set in Cambridge. Well, not so much set in Cambridge, but there's a show called Grantchester. So if you keep an eye out for that, it's based on a series of novels, and it's about a vicar who solves crimes, and it's set in a village not far from Cambridge. And in nearly every episode, they shoot a bit in Cambridge, and they've done some wonderful things already. In season 2, there's a death from the top of one of the historic chapels in Cambridge, and they do some amazing aerial photography to stress how tall this building is. There's a few other things. I mean, films. I'm blanking on the title of the actual film, but Theory of Everything. That's it. Yes, Theory of Everything. Film with Eddie Redmayne. That's set in Cambridge mostly because it's all about Stephen Hawking's younger years. That's well worth a watch. Oh, there's some wonderful autumnal colours here too. Now we get back up to the road crossing, so I think I'm going to end this here. Oh, you saw that? Yeah. It's a great film. As far as other films that have shot in Cambridge, there's like films where there's like one scene in Cambridge, and an obvious one of those, well, one scene or one sequence, an obvious one of those is The History Boys. Oh, what have you got against Stephen Hawking, Eldred? Joe Eldred. Anyway, so I'm almost home. So I'll say bye for now, and I might do another one. I'll see how I'm doing for data. I might do another one of these when I go and pick up my bike this afternoon. Well, just a few minutes ago I finished watching episode 4 of... Oh, sorry. Phone is literally balancing on my knee. I didn't think it was as good as the other 3 myself. So I'll wait for your own comments while I put the show notes together and get the podcast out. But there's been complaints that the minor characters, the lesser characters, are a bit undeveloped. And this isn't bothering me as much as some of the acting quality in tonight's episode, I think. Well, that and just the shadow kind that Patrick Ness has come up with are just not very compelling as villains. I don't find them very compelling as villains. It was a very frustrating... I say this in the podcast review as well. It was a very frustrating episode because the B plot was actually more interesting than the A plot. You have this whole B plot going on about the new head of the school and Quill being called to a meeting with her, and all these hints about the governors, and so we end up speculating that well, certainly I did, that the school is being run by aliens, and so it's that was an intriguing plot. There's all this stuff about the governors and the new head of the school, but that would have made a more interesting episode than all this kind of, quite frankly, dull stuff about the shadow kind. So still one person watching, apparently. I'm assuming you have seen episode 4 of Class. Have you any thoughts on it before I finish this Facebook Live? I will take that as a no. So we'll cut this short. Bye bye for now. And I'll finish off doing the podcast. Hello. Hopefully some of you will join me. So we've had episode 5 of Class. Return of the Shadow Kind. I'm just not getting this shadow kind thing. Not getting them at all. Not finding them particularly interesting. The B plot this time was to do with those really weird petal things that seem to have invaded Coal Hill School. This I also found a bit strange. I was watching it and thinking, well, the thing with those petals is it's a sort of strange idea you could probably get away with in a novel, but making it work on television, especially on the budget Class has got, is not so easy. I'm assuming you've seen episode 5 of Class, Mike. Probably won't make this very long. Yeah. Again, I put spoilers in the title, and people join who haven't seen the episode. So, also this week we've had the Power of the Daleks release, of course, which has clearly, from what my Facebook timeline tells me, kept a lot of you very entertained. Just gone midday, 20 past. One person watching. So we're talking Class episode 5. I'm assuming whoever you are that is watching has seen Class episode 5. 2 people watching. Hello, Phil. I'm assuming you've seen Class episode 5. Either that or you don't care about being spoiled. We had the Return of the Shadow Kind. We also had these strange petal things. I think I'm more looking forward. Good morning, David. I'm assuming you've seen Class episode 5. Judging on this week's episode, I think I'm more looking forward to next week. I'm going to cut this short now because in about 2 and a bit hours time I've got this colonoscopy. bits of my body are still making strange noises. So hopefully I will join you in better health this time next week. Hello! I thought I'd start this one a little different. There's Class Episode 6 playing away off my Amazon Fire Stick with its tiny eeny weeny remote control. Although I did watch it yesterday on my PlayStation 3 because the Fire Stick doesn't seem to be able to do HD from the iPlayer, but I would highly recommend it for YouTube. It's incredibly clear on HD content on YouTube. So episode 6 of Class we reached yesterday, Detained, which, as the trailer the week before told us, was about the whole gang being put in detention. This being Class, it was detention with a difference, and this was, of course, sort of detention you can't escape quickly, and for the purposes of television drama, though, it was the sort of detention that only lasted for 45 minutes, even though right at the beginning Quill told them that they'd be locked up for an hour. Yes, it was. There's also some interesting storytelling going on here, because this was not a big fan of the term bottle episode. This was what might best be termed a lift episode of Class. This was the Class equivalent of locking all the characters in a lift, and so you had them all in detention. You rapidly discover that the prince suffers from panic attacks, and probably due to claustrophobia, possibly some form of social claustrophobia due to being locked in the room with this group of people who are not exactly friends, to quote one of them from, I think, episode 1. So does this mean we're mates now? Which didn't exactly get much of a reply at the time. I think it was one of the best episodes yet, actually. It's been a couple of weeks I've not been enjoying it, and suddenly it's back on form, and all they had to do was lock all the characters in a room together. And yeah, I've got it running in front of me now, and it's one of these just good, simple ideas. They all got isolated in this science room, and it's just them and this rock that's a sort of prisoner that taps into all of them and acts like a sort of truth drug. And it's a fine example of practically a piece of theatre, really. It takes the whole concept of Class and squishes it down and just puts the characters in a room and makes the whole thing nice and simple. And they had this sort of magic rock, which none of them liked the look of at first, and none of them wanted to touch, and then as soon as any of them picked it up, they suddenly discovered that it ended up with them sort of telling the truth whether they wanted to or not. Sort of confession rock, the truth rock, as it were. And yeah, it was passed around through the various characters throughout the episode, and it was a good excuse to finally have all these people add a little bit more depth to their character, and pull off the thing that some people seem to think is missing from Class. But seem to have an audience of one, or an audience of one right now, which would appear to be you, Tim Rogers. So are there any thoughts you want to type into chat before I end this? I might sit here playing around with Facebook Live settings. Filters, pop, classic, what's that one, country, funk. These are quite new, these. Acid, oh dear, makes you look rather ill. Pop does at least add some colour that seems to get drained by the sunlight coming in, but we'll go back to no filter and turn those off. Oh well, I now have an audience of 0, so what better time to finish this? And I'll be back hopefully a little earlier next week with another one of these Facebook Lives about the latest episode of Class. I'm getting better at them, hopefully. You can hear my nice short review of Class over on my podcast, which can be found at timstakeon.libsyn.com or timstakeon.co.uk, and it will be at the top of the feed, episode 358. It's only less than 10 minutes long this week, so goodbye for now. Hello! Well, Class episode 7, or What Quilded the Metaphysical Engine. As you can see, I have just watched playing again in front of me. Let's get that angled up. Hopefully get my tripod somewhere stable. So yeah, this was I've just seen a comment on Facebook from Dale Smith saying they couldn't understand half the words in this one. Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. This was the weird one. I mean, last week's one was a little bit strange. Last week's one was what people call a bottle episode, what I like to call a stuck in a lift episode. But yeah, this week's one was particularly strange. I've currently got in front of me the scene in which they arrive in what might be termed the pink or purple forest near the beginning of the episode. We also had a sort of desert. The visuals in this one were amazing, right down to the inside of the metaphysical engine, which reminded me of the sort of lifts you get on London Underground. It was like a large lift. However, the lighting was like something out of the modern day TARDIS, and Dorothea, the headmistress, a bit like the Doctor at times, didn't even quite know how to operate the thing, and had this little pad of paper in front of her with notes and what have you. And we sort of learned a little bit more about the mysterious governors this week, because we had a third main character in this episode called Balin, who was this shapeshifter, and it took two sort of goes at this, finally removed this sort of arm thing from her head that's been restricting her actions. And he turns out to be related, and I did say there'd be spoilers in this discussion, he turns out to be related to the, from what I can tell from the visuals, the 14-year-old in amongst our Scooby gang. But yes, very exciting episode, amazing visuals, possibly even better than last week, certainly as good as last week's episode of Class. So it's almost over. It'll be the final episode of Class next weekend, so I'll do another one of these Facebook Lives, and I'll also get out a podcast as well. Just finished the edit on this week's episode, 359, so we'll get that online in the next few minutes. So I hope you can join me next week for another one of these Class discussions. So yeah, I've just finished watching episode 8 of Class, and the Shadowkin returned for the season finale, and there were plenty of twists in it. Now, I like a twist in a drama, so I did actually enjoy this episode, because I was able to sit there going, ooh, that's a nice twist. And some of the twists were accompanied by there being some good use of locations. Very good sort of cathedral-y, sort of lovely old stone hall place showed up. And so yeah, on the whole, an enjoyable episode. Kind of partly enjoyable because of the twists. And this is why I am going to look into camera now and make a prediction. There will be more Class. There you go. It has been said. The only reason I am saying this is because they end this series on a cliffhanger. Stephen Moffat has himself said there is a count that, 5-year plan for Doctor Who. Well, if there's a 5-year plan for Doctor Who, that doesn't just include things like recruiting Chris Chibnall to run the show. It includes things like, oh, what are we going to do when Doctor Who's not on air? Put on a few episodes of Class. So I'm fairly hopeful that there will be a second series of this, because otherwise, why bother ending it on a cliffhanger at all? If they were that uncertain of Patrick Ness's work, they'd have told him not to end it on a cliffhanger, surely. Surely. So yeah, I certainly enjoyed it. Not my favourite episode of the series, but it was alright. Was alright. And Quill gets to be very kick-ass in it. And the Prince finally gets to be kick-ass. So that was a good end to his God, can you even get the lighting good in here? That was a good end to his run as a character. So I'm going to end this now, and sorry though anyone waiting for the podcast, that will be out this evening, because I'm going to pop out for a while myself now. I'm off to Mill Road Winter Fair, whiz home for some lunch, and then I'm off to see Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. So hopefully that will be really good. Hello Sandra, I'm just finishing this now. Not sure if you've seen the latest episode of Class yet. Type in any views you have on it right now, because I'm just about to hit finish on this. But or just generally any views you've had on Class, assuming you've been watching the whole thing. So yeah, bye for now, and here ends the Class reviews.